Hi, I'm Jennifer, and this is Movie Talk. Friendship, action, adventure, and finding out what you're really meant to be. That's everything you get in the DreamWorks movie, How to Train Your Dragon. This movie is one of my personal favorites, not only of all movies, but also of DreamWorks. And it's also one of my favorite franchises, along with The Lion King and Star Wars. This movie takes place on a not mythical, but a made-up island known as Berk, and tells the story of Hiccup, played by Jay Birdshaw. Hiccup is basically the outcast of Berk. He is not the biggest of the Viking teenagers. He is not the strongest of the Viking teenagers. And he is always thinking up new ways to do things that doesn't exactly fit the traditional Viking mold. Adding to that, Hiccup is also the son of the village chief, Stoic the Vast, who was played by Gerald Butler. And that alone means that there is a lot of expectations on Hiccup to be just like his father, and a lot of disappointment in the fact that he is not at all like his father. Now, the big part of what's going on in this movie is that the Vikings are at war with the dragons, and Hiccup wants to be like everybody else. And to be like everyone else, he has to kill a dragon. So when he shoots down a very rare breed of dragon known as a Night Fury, he realizes this is his chance, but he can't go through with it. Now, not realizing what's going on, but realizing that he does have to let his son become what he believes he should be, Stoic puts Hiccup into Viking training, into dragon training under the tutelage of his best friend Gabber, who is played by Craig Ferguson, where he is learning how to kill dragons alongside 5 other Viking teens. Snotlout, who is played by Joan Hill. Fishlegs, who is played by Christopher Martinez Paz, and if I'm mispronouncing any names, I apologize. And the twins Tough Nut and Rough Nut, played by T.J. Miller and Kristen Wiig, respectively, and Astrid, who is played by America Ferguson, who is actually Hiccup's love interest in this movie. And while he is learning what the Vikings know about dragons, he is taking care of the down Night Fury that he names Toothless, and learning that everything that they know about dragons is actually very wrong. At the climactic battle, where Hiccup has to kill a dragon, as thanks to Toothless, he has become the best student in the class, ironically, he tries to show everyone, because the whole village turns out, that they don't have to kill dragons. But it actually takes him and his new friends taking the other dragons at the academy to the island where the dragons live, and Hiccup and Toothless defeating the Red Death, for everyone to realize that they can live in harmony with the dragons. And of course, the movie ends on a very happy note. One of the things I love about this movie is the animation. This is a 3D animated movie, and it's actually fairly good. And I know it was released in 3D, but I actually didn't see it in 3D. But I did hear it was very good in 3D. This movie has produced one sequel so far, How to Train Your Dragon 2, which was released on June 13th, 2014. And the third sequel is actually scheduled, as of the posting of this video, to be released on March 1st, 2019. So we do have a couple years to wait for that movie. With any luck, it will be just as good as its two predecessors. And I will do videos on those when they come out. Of course, you will have to wait a while for the third one. It also spawned or I shouldn't say spawned, but it also produced two animated movies, or 2 animated TV shows, excuse me. Dragons Riders / Defenders of Berk, which takes place immediately after the events of the first movie, and then Dragons Race to the Edge, which takes place right before the second movie. There were also a series of small mini movies that were inspired by this movie, and those were Legends of the Bone Napper, Book of Dragons, Dawn of the Dragon Races, and Gift of the Night Fury. And yes, I will talk about them at some point. Of course, Gift of the Night Fury, being a holiday movie, will be put off until Christmas. This movie also, one of the things I loved about this movie is the fact that it does show the connection between a human and an animal. Hiccup's connection with excuse me. Hiccup's connection with Toothless is very sweet and almost reminds me, well, once he gets to know Toothless, is very sweet and almost reminds me of my connection with my own pets. The bond that Hiccup shares with Toothless that was actually shown in the movie and then later was reflected in the TV show, which I will talk about when I start talking about the TV show, reminds me so much of the relationship I have with my own dog and cats. Okay, Toothless is a dragon. He is much bigger than a dog or a cat. But it's still, the bond is there, and that was one of the things I loved about it. Also, a lot of Toothless's expressions were very cute and adorable. I loved his expressions. I mean, not so much in the movie. He's very expressionist. I'm trying to think of the right way. You can tell a lot about him through his expressions in the movies. It's really more dictated in the TV show, but he has a lot of great expressions in this movie, and you can really tell what he's thinking based on them. Another thing I really liked about this movie is how very cat-like Toothless was. And Toothless is absolutely my favorite character in this movie. Hiccup and Astrid are up there too. I really liked them as well. So I actually had like 3 favorite characters in this movie. But Toothless is very cat-like. And one of the interesting things about that is that he wasn't actually meant to be cat-like. I think the animators actually wanted him to be have very much more of a dog's personality, but he ended up being more cat-like. And I was actually looking on the Facebook page for this, and I think what happened, or reading something on Wikipedia about this, and what happened, I believe, I could have misread this or something. It could have been something that somebody has posted to be funny, but what I believe happened is that the animator who was doing Toothless saw a Black Panther picture, either on his computer screen, like on his desktop computer screen, or a colleague's desktop computer screen, and really liked that picture of the Black Panther and used that to incorporate in his design with Toothless. And from there, it just went with the more, they just started putting more cat-like things in with Toothless. And I really liked it. It showed a very playful side to Toothless. I mean, he was a fierce dragon, but you saw a playful side to him. And in a lot of movies featuring dragons, you don't see the playful side of them. You don't. You see the more fierce side. So I really did like the fact that they injected some playfulness into the main dragon character. I thought that was very cute. And I loved the design of Toothless. In case you want to see, here's the design of Toothless. And I loved his design. I thought it was just so cute. I love his design. Like, he's just this black dragon with these green eyes that just pop off of him. That's like the only color in him is his green eyes. So I really, really liked that. I thought that was a very unique design for him. And he's the most unique out of all the dragons. I mean, we don't see another dragon in the entire franchise up to this date that looks just like him. And I will get into why we don't see them later on in later videos, in case you haven't seen any of the other movies. I do like the other designs for the dragons. The Gronkles I thought were very well constructed. I thought they looked very interesting. I loved the Natters, how they had the spikes and the bright colors and whatnot. The Zipplebacks, I loved the double heads on the Zipplebacks. I thought it was so cute. And I will get in later with the heads, like in the TV show, in TV Talk, we will talk more about the Zippo-backs, because they do use the two heads very cleverly with the Zippo-back that you see in that TV show, in case you haven't seen it yet. And I like how they did that. Trying to think. Monstrous Nightmare, okay, he looked okay. His design was cool. It wasn't one of my favorite dragon designs, but it was okay. I mean, it looked more like your quintessential regular mythical East European dragon designs, and when I'm thinking Viking, I'm thinking more of like what their designs were. So it was like, okay, well, you're trying to do a mix of different dragons, so I'm gonna be okay with that. I thought his coloring was a little odd. They kind of mixed black and white together, or not black and white, black and red together, and I'm like, okay, it works, but I would have gone with a different color palette. But that's just me. And the Terrible Terrors, I loved the Terrible Terrors. I thought they were so cute. They were these little dragons that, no joke, were no bigger than one of my cats. Well, actually, they were actually smaller than one of my cats. But if proportionately, the Vikings were the same size we were, if this was a live-action movie, the Terrible Terrors would be no bigger than one of excuse me again, than one of my cats. And I thought that's so cute, because you have this range of dragons. You have dragons big enough to ride on, and dragons small enough to hold in your arms. And I thought that is just so cute. You're giving a variety in not only style and color, but in size. And you don't see that very often in a lot of dragons. This was a very envisioned movie. They looked at these dragons as if they were other wild animals out there, and they gave a variation of them, which I thought was cool. The Crimson Death, which is the main villain of the movie, it's the dragon that Hiccup and Toothless fight at the end of the movie, is colossal. It's a giant dragon. It's like as big as a house, maybe bigger than a house. I mean, I live in a colonial, and it was like probably bigger than my house, and so it's just it was just amazing how they did all these different dragons and gave each different species its own unique look and personality and click, and then in amongst those groups gave each individual dragon within the group, and you'll see this later in the TV show, of course, but each individual dragon within its group its own little color palette and personality, which they made each group individual, and then they made each dragon within the group an individual, which was very ingenious, and one of the things I loved about this movie. In the second movie, and I'm not going to get too much into the second movie because I will do a video on the second movie. The second movie actually lived up to my expectations. I loved the second movie as much as I loved the first movie, and I am hoping that the third movie lives up to How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2. I really do. I am really hoping for that. I'm also hoping that they don't get rid of the dragons at the end of the movie. But, you know, you never know. There's always some loss at the end of these movies. I mean, these dragon movies. There was a loss at the end of this movie. There was a loss near middle-ish end of the second movie, and I will get into that in the second movie. So there probably will be some loss in the third movie, but, you know, fingers crossed it's not Toothless. I hope they do not kill off Toothless. I hope they do not kill off Hiccup. I hope they do not kill off any of, I hope they don't kill off, like, Astrid or her dragon. I don't want to really reveal what she names her dragon yet. Or, you know, anybody else in the movie. I hope it's not a super big, like, no, why'd you get rid of that character, loss? Because that's kind of what I had when I saw the second movie. I was like, no, I was expecting it, but it still hit me. It's like, why did you do that? I mean, I was expecting it, but still, why did you do that? And I will get into that in the second movie. And when I review How to Train Your Dragon 2, I promise I will get into that. But yeah, great movie. I loved it. It opened up the franchise beautifully. I love how they did that. And the way they actually did it was great. And this is actually based off of a book series called How to Train Your Dragons. they did take some poetic licensing in the book series. I haven't read the book series, but from what I understand about the book series, they're not at war with the dragons. They have to, a young Viking has to steal a dragon and train it in the book series. And Astrid is not the romantic interest in the book series, it's someone else. So poetic licensing, they had to change it a little bit. Really good. And what I liked about this movie was the message behind it. It's that if you're different from everyone, sometimes your differences can be good. Hiccup was different from everyone else in the village. He thought things through, and he was really good at building things. And he was willing to try to understand the dragons from a different level. He actually looked at the dragons the way Toothless looked at them. And he saw them in a different light. And he was able to use that to change everyone else's mind at the end of the movie about the dragons and bring the dragons and the Vikings back to, not back to, but bring the dragons and the Vikings together in peace. And then we will see, when we get into TV talk, I will talk more about, you know, some of the challenges and stuff that he faces after that, because it kind of goes into that. And we will also see a little more in the Viking world, but that will be TV talk. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Again, I loved this video, or this movie. It was really good. It is one of my favorite franchises, again, along with Lion King and Star Wars. It's just, there's not much I can say about this movie other than it was really, really good. And I'm really looking forward to, excuse me again, the release of the third movie in the next 2 years. I will probably not see it right when it comes out, as I do not like going to the movies the month that a movie is released, as it is too crowded. I usually wait a month and then I go see it, if I see it at all in theaters. So I am really looking forward to the release of that movie. Please leave your comments and questions your opinions and questions in the comment section. I love reading those. Please like and subscribe. I'm up to 2 subscribers right now. I really would like to get some more, or would really hope to get some more. But that does help me out. I'm knowing, you know, how much you people, you guys out there like these videos that I do and whatnot. And feel free to follow me on Facebook and not Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. The information will be right in the description section. And please look for not only How to Train Your Dragons 2, which will be a while. I have a couple other movies ahead of that one that I want to do, but I will get to it. And also look for my book talk videos, where I talk about different books I've read. And also, this Sunday, I will be launching my TV talk videos. So please look for that. And I will see you next time. I'm Jennifer, and have a very nice day.